of Buddhism is to transcend suffering by embracing it. And in Kundalini Bodywork, through body de-armouring, we are learning to do the same. When you learn Buddhist Vipassana meditation, you learn to accept and embrace the suffering in your body until you transcend it, until it just stops hurting or being uncomfortable. If you say suffering is part of the human condition, some people are likely to get angry or refuse to listen. Others say, of course it is. Some people reject the phrase, embrace suffering, or suffering is essential for life, because it goes against the years of self-hypnosis and mind programming they use to create abundance, to create a positive mind that does better in a competitive world. Obviously, a positive mind needs the polarity of a negative mind. Thus, many create unhealthy polarity and unhealthy competition without to maintain a positive mind within. Most people program in false beliefs that maintain their positive mind but stop them realizing higher truths. In Kundalini Bodywork, through body de-armouring, similar to Buddhism, we are looking to accept our suffering without resistance so that we can transcend it. The main difference is that instead of focusing on the mind, and in some practices the body and emotions through meditation to create acceptance primarily in the mind, we are focusing on the mind, body and emotions through de-armouring to create acceptance primarily in the body. Through other practices in Kundalini Bodywork, we go much deeper into shadow work than most Buddhist monks would. But the essence of de-armouring is the same essence which led the first Buddha to enlightenment. Accepting suffering as part of the human experience does not mean that we cannot have abundance in our lives. On the contrary, by working with the law of attraction, with the laws of polarity and duality, we have a greater chance of creating abundance both in our personal lives and in the collective consciousness. Our inside reflecting our outside and our outside reflecting our in is essential to find an alignment that we can evolve from. It is what working with both polarity and duality is teaching us to do. Anyone with a poor understanding of polarity work or acting unconsciously from trauma will generally create abundance for one and lack for the other, happiness for one and sadness for the other. Their understanding of working with polarity is missing an understanding of duality while being immature. We could express how being born into this world as a baby or giving birth as a mother is generally a painful process. I say generally as the movement of orgasmic birthing is growing. Or we could ask ourselves if not crying and being sad when a loved one died could ever make us feel good. But these are quite argumentative topics where most seem to already agree that a level of suffering is essential in a human life. And to argue otherwise is akin to arguing that the world is flat. And of course, some people will, and from a quantum physics perspective, they have a point. And from an enlightened perspective, it's all an illusion anyway. But in any human life, there is a moment where we need to stand for something, be it a flat earth or a round earth, a world with suffering, a world without suffering, or a world full of opportunities to suffer joyfully, to learn to transcend suffering without needing to become a celibate Buddhist monk. If you want to be playful, you could call this a tantric monk, as tantra is the practice of becoming awake in the illusion of separation instead of transcending it. Self-development in this way can only bring us more opportunities for conscious growth, opportunities to evolve opposed to our other three alternatives of maintaining a world that has equal suffering to joy, to believing in a world with no suffering, or our current reality where the rich and poor divide is so huge that the majority suffer for the gluttonous pleasures of the few, an unbalanced, unfair and unjust world entirely. The current truth of our world is infuriating, and anger is a healthy initial response. As once expressed, we can move into transforming this truth, because suppressing our anger makes it much more difficult to change what is making us angry, what we fear. The solution for me lies in the embodiment practice of non-duality through body and emotional de-armouring, which creates more joy and, in its worst case scenario, joyful suffering, or embraces the paradoxes so we just don't suffer as much as we're used to in similar situations. The ability to witness ourselves feeling sad and then simultaneously feeling ecstatic for the simple joy of having emotions while witnessing emotions, living in awe for the power and beauty of our sadness, might sound slightly mad or even psychotic, but when you achieve it, it is a bliss we don't have words for, an experience we do not have language to explain. Such concepts can be hard to grasp as they evolve our understanding of polarity, but now that you're this far in the course, paradoxical and multidimensional thinking should start to become your second nature, eventually becoming your first nature. Suffering for our passions relates to creating art, beauty, and music. Artists generally suffer before creating great songs, and great songs often come from heartbreak and despair. A few suicidal glares in the mirror before choosing to live life and express life through art. Likewise, building or sculpting a muscular body comes with patience, dedication, commitment, and pain. Suffering in the gym is a joyful kind of suffering. There would be little beauty or strength in our world if we never chose to suffer. The key is in learning how to suffer, how to find joy in our pain and experience love in our sadness and tears. Creating more opportunities for these ways to suffer, more opportunities to experience our life paradoxically, lessens our old school experiences of suffering, the old paradigm. This means creating more opportunities to explore and experience our shadow and our darkness in healthy ways, not just kinky ways, but if conscious kink is your thing, then it's your thing. Just as if bodybuilding is your thing, or taking flexibility training to extremes, or watching sad movies that leave you melancholic, or even studying occult science, which may leave you feeling enlightened through the transcendence of suffering, or mentally disturbed. The human condition is one of always trying to make things better to improve life circumstances. Having everything we want and being totally comfortable will, for most people, equal not being happy, because what we want, at least for